one of the biggest fears surrounding state police is political abuse by, and the accusation is on the table of against you and your colleagues that Nigerian governors will misuse it. And the history of the country includes allegations of governors influencing local institutions, electoral processes, and security agencies. See what happened in local government elections. Every state you conduct local government elections, one party, the ruling party, wins all. I mean, takes all. What assurances can you give, Governor, that state police commissioners appointed by the governors will not become instruments for harassing political opponents, activists, or journalists?
Because a lot of people are talking about they did not probably read the clause that gave governors powers to appoint state police. But the same clause have also prohibited governors from sacking the state police commissioners. That can only be done through the police council, which will be headed by who? By Mr. President. Is a council. So the state governor, just like you appointing the chief judge of your own state. But you cannot sack the chief judge, but you can appoint him. It has to come through the NGC before that can happen. So the same process is what is there in the clause. So a lot of people only read this bill, not necessarily looking at the safeguards. Every step of this bill, there's always a safeguard.
Because there are those who will say, yes, you're talking about the leadership in terms of appointment. What about the rank and file? For example, they say he who pays the piper dictates the tune. If the state is funded and the governor is the head of the state, you don't think that the body language of the governor...
Already, I can tell you today that you can appoint the commissioner of police, but you cannot sack him. That is the issue. It's not, you can't even sack him by the act of by the state assembly. No. So that's safeguard. It must be with the approval of Police Service Commission or Police Council, as well as National Assembly, together with the State Assembly. So there's a lot of safeguard to abuse, to control the abuse, to stop the abuse. So it's there in that act.
There are those who say we have a replica of state police in Nigeria presently, and there are different states in the country now.
Which one?
Who are the Amotekun, for example, in the southwest.
Let me educate, don't go far.
Yeah.
Sure, because there's a lot of confusion happening. You see, a lot of people looking at that, they have no knowledge about Firearms Act in Nigeria. You see, that's the reason why, simply because Firearms Act was amended. I remember when I was in the 9th Senate, when the bill was also submitted by the National Security Advisor's Office, that is Monguno. But now, with this current state police alteration bill that was passed today, it supersedes that very firearms provision. Now, Amotekun and all the vigilance services groups created by state governors cannot hold light arms. You know what the meaning of light arms? We are talking about AK-47, AK-49 and things within that region. Amotekun cannot do anything. Vigilance service cannot do anything. Because, like I said, you are sending them to death sentence because you are telling them to confront the insurgents, the bandits. These guys are holding pure arms. They cannot do anything. That is the reason why it is important to have state police, because the current constitutional amendment will allow the state police to hold light arms. What does that mean? They will now also be armed with those light arms, AK-47, AK-49, and other arms that could be defined by the relevant authorities.
So, Governor, it means that because I give an example of the United States. So you go to Los Angeles, so you have the LA police force. You go to New York, you have the NYPD, but you still have the federal police in the United States. So that's what will happen. So we have Kaduna State Police, Lagos State Police, Kwara State Police. In that sense, we can then now hold you and your colleagues accountable. Then you can now be the chief security officer in practice, in action, in deed, and in truth. Is that right?
That's right.
So we can now say, Governor Sani, you have sworn to protect the people of Kaduna State. If anything happens, we can hold you accountable. This is the interpretation and implication, isn't it?
That is it.